Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. For today's video, I am back, this time with a look at what could just be the ultimate version of the Michael Bay live-action movie DORITO Starscream, that being this Revenge of the Fallen / Dark of the Moon KO and upscale Transformers movie masterpiece 10. Now, for those of you looking to add this guy to the collection, he is currently available and in stock right now over at Showsy's store, so for that, of course, I shall pack a link down in the description box below. I've taken a look at my fair share of NPM-style Starscreams over on the channel, and whilst they've all been great, all of them have been pretty much based on how Starscream appeared in the first 2007 live-action movie, and not of course his more iconic design, that being the Revenge of the Fallen Cybertronian tattoos. And up until this point, I've really only regarded the Revenge of the Fallen Hunt for the Decepticons leader class as being the ultimate, almost masterpiece rendition of the character as he appeared in Transformers 2 and 3 up until now. This particular fourth party piece may in fact actually be the ultimate Bayverse transforming Starscream that we've ever seen sporting this paint deco. Now, before we delve in and take a closer look at the figure himself, we'll very quickly touch base here with the accessories, identical to all of the previous versions. You can see we get the buzzsaw that he uses to slice in half a bus with throughout Transformers Dark of the Moon. You can see the paintwork is immaculate. We've got some nice red tubing detail, some Cybertronian hieroglyphs on this piece, of which will in fact actually attach into the forearm, and of course the buzzsaw itself can spin, and you can just see the reflectiveness there to the paint. That's looking awesome. We also do get included a missile pod, which in regards to paint apps is a vast improvement when in comparison to the official offering. So you can see all of the missiles have been individually sculpted as well as painted. They look wicked. We've got the massive bayonet that I imagine he could use to stab through the chest of an Autobot before absolutely obliterating them here with the missiles. You can see really nice attention to detail where that paintwork is concerned, and much like the buzzsaw, we do get some Cybertronian hieroglyphs here at the top. And then finally, we also do get included the minigun. Now, this too has also been sculpted and painted impeccably well, and once again, in my opinion, is a major improvement when in comparison to that original NPM 10 figure. But getting stuck straight here into the details of Starscream, mold-wise, at least here for jet mode, this is identical to the Hasbro and Takara offering. The only major difference here in jet form is that it's much bigger, and of course, we have now got this terrific Revenge of the Fallen color scheme. As we just bring this in here for a closer look, you can see the paintwork for a KO is absolutely incredible. Upon actually getting this out of the packaging, my brother actually mistaken this. It does come packaged in robot mode for the 3A offering. It's that well detailed. You can see as far as those hieroglyphs and almost the camouflage detail is concerned, it's turned out super nicely. We've got some lighter shades of blue, we've got some silver, some white, some black details, some proper actual Cybertronian hieroglyphs here in the center. Overall, it's just so nicely done, and much like the buzzsaw and missile pod, you can see the reflectiveness there to the paint. It really does create for a very authentic look. You've got the USAF logo here slap bang on the side of the wing. As we just take a closer look at some of that internal cockpit detail, it looks as great as ever considering we're dealing with a much larger format this time round. It definitely does allow you to appreciate some of the sharper details of the sculpt. And you can see more of those hieroglyphs here for the front of the nose cone as we just spin our attention here to the rear of the jet. Once more, it just looks terrific, and unlike some of the previous Revenge of the Fallen base Starscream figures, I think they've absolutely knocked the colour palette out of the park. Some of those older figures decided to go with an almost beige plastic, whereas in the movie he was more metallic silver like we're seeing here with this KO version. So I definitely do think this is the closest to movie accuracy that we've gotten so far. As we just turn our attention here to the back, you can see these thrusters electrified there in this really nice looking blue. I like how some of the chest components do become the almost thrusters here for the side of the wings, and much like the original offering, we also do get the landing gear, of which is fully capable to roll along the ground. So we get one here at the front, and of course two here in the center of the thighs. So overall, definitely a very substantial jet. As mentioned previously, mold-wise here for jet mode is basically the same as the official offering, so there really isn't that much different, but it definitely is the paintwork where I think this piece truly shines. Now, as far as some size comparisons are concerned, here I have the only other Starscream that I've got transformed, that being the Studio Series Revenge of the Fallen version. And as mentioned previously, you can see that they had decided to go with an almost beige plastic here for the base color, whereas in the movie he was more metallic silver to match this offering. So once again, I really do think this is the closest representation we've seen so far for an ROTF inspired Starscream. But just as far as the scale comparison is concerned, there we've got the Voyager compared next to this fourth party KO version, and you can see that it is gigantic. This is actually quite a substantial Voyager for today's standards, so to see just how much bigger this new NPM style version is, it really does help to show the massive difference, and this figure does also come packed with not only incredibly durable plastic, but also some die-cast components, so it is indeed quite a hefty piece. Now, considering I've already showcased the transformation for this guy quite a few times over on the channel, I shall merely be offering you guys a very quick conversion showcase from Jet mode into, of course, Starscream's robot mode. And with that transformation montage fully completed, here we have the Revenge of the Fallen inspired Starscream fully transformed up into his awesome looking robot mode. And straight off the bat, I have no issue whatsoever in saying that this is my definitive representation of the Michael Bay era Starscream that I'll be keeping in my display. I just think in terms of scale and the overall presence and the attention to detail that they've actually managed to accomplish with this figure is pretty unmatched. And of course, we've mainly got to give props to Hasbro and Takara, as the base masterpiece mold was already great to begin with, but this company has just expanded upon that, added a ton load of paint and of course additional components to truly make this the best Starscream that is possibly out there. Now you can see, as far as the paintwork of the head is concerned, I think this looks really impressive. The sculpt, of course, is rather strange considering that the Bayverse Starscream had a very insectoid alien looking head, but the paint looks awesome. You can see some of those hieroglyphs there for the temple, as well as on the side of the head. I think the attention to detail where the mouth region is concerned also looks awesome. And much like the 2007 of this particular fourth party incarnation, this does in fact actually possess LEDs in the head. And once you get those illuminated, it definitely does complete the look of this Starscream. Overall, just such an awesome looking head sculpt. As we take a look at the torso, you can truly appreciate some of the sharper details of the sculpt, of which perhaps went missing on the original offering due to them just not being painted. So you can see we've got some nice bronze highlights for those mechanical regions. The DORITO parts of the design definitely look rather abstract, but I think the tattoo detail really does make them just look all that much better. Even as we take a look here at the shoulders of Starscream, really nice attention to detail. The same can also be said there for the inside of the forearms. We've got some of that intricate circuitry detail, as well as here on the back, and even the back of the hands too have been fully sculpted and painted. As we just work our way down here to the lower section, once more, really nice looking paint and sculpt. And you can see there for the thighs, as well as for the chicken leg design. Overall, incredibly movie accurate. Even as we flip here to the back of Starscream, completely painted and sculpted much like the front. This really does look impeccable. You can see for this back region, we've got the thrusters that he used throughout the first trilogy, with this awesome metallic blued fade there for the tips. You can see more of that hieroglyph detail. And as we just turn our attention here to the back of the legs, completely painted, as well as once again sculpted. Now, some of the major mold differences when in comparison to the official Hasbro offering would be that we now have this additional flap. On the original version, this was hanging down like so. However, for this fourth party rendition, they have incorporated an additional hinge to allow this to flip up, which from a frontal perspective just creates for such a nicer silhouette. You can see we no longer have that flap dangling down, and I definitely think it looks all the better for it. And we now have an additional hinge joint there at the base of the finger. I shan't bore you guys with the articulation, as it's identical to all of the previous renditions of this guy. It would have been nice to have seen a bicep rotation, much like we've seen with the most recent DNA design upgrade kit, but other than that, I think this guy is pretty much flawless. And you can see I have decided to attach the missile pod, and I just think that looks so seamless. The way that this panel appears to have almost flipped up from the forearm itself, and then this missile arm has almost transformed out of the hand, just looks so impressive. and of course super accurate to the movie. All of the joints are incredibly stiff and robust, as you would expect, so the shoulders are on very heavy duty ratchet joints that definitely can withhold not only their own weight, but also if you do decide to attach some of the additional accessories, something which the original version sadly was 9 times out of 10 unable to do. Turning to some size comparisons, here we have the fourth party KO rendition on the left, and of course the official version on the right. Now this is really going to vary depending on how crouched you actually have the legs, but you can see there is indeed a significant difference in terms of the width as well as height of these figures. For those of you who were unhappy with your official offering, perhaps not scaling all that well with some of the other NPM figures, or perhaps even NPM style third party characters, then I definitely think that this fourth party version is going to fit really nicely. This is a much bigger version of Starscream, and when compared to say the likes of the Black Apple Optimus Prime, I think is near enough perfect scale. Starscream was a much bigger character in the movie than some of us actually believe him to be, so definitely bigger is better where this is concerned, and you can just see just how much more paint this particular version has. Not to take anything away from the original version, of course it was inspired by his 2007 deco, but really does look rather bland in contrast to of course how he appeared in Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon. And here for one final comparison, we've got Starscream compared alongside the official Takara Tomy masterpiece Optimus Prime, and once again you can just see how much bigger this rendition is when in comparison to say a character like Optimus Prime. And so some final thoughts for this KO Transformers movie masterpiece Revenge of the Fallen Starscream. Overall it's another great figure, much like some of the previous KOs that I've taken a look at over on the channel. It's great quality, the diecast, the plastic all feels great, the joints are incredibly reinforced by some of those heavy duty ratchet joints, but where this specific version truly shines is in regards to paint apps. I've always personally regarded the 2007 design to be rather bland in contrast to what we got in Revenge of the Fallen, and of course this is movie Starscream's most iconic look, and I'm actually quite surprised that Hasbro and Takara themselves haven't in fact actually repainted their official masterpiece offering, as I know there are many collectors that would much rather actually have the Rotf deco when in comparison to the 2007 paint scheme. This figure I think is excellent. As far as an actual visual is concerned, the attention to detail and the paintwork alone is fantastic. It really does help to highlight some of the fantastic sculpt work that was already there due to the official offering. However, this KO just kind of expands upon it with the addition of that transformable flap at the back, as well as the additional hinge joints in the fingers. It just makes this the greater version of that mold, and of course it is significantly bigger when in comparison to the official version, and is in fact actually cheaper priced. We do get LEDs packed into the head, as well as a whole host of accessories, all of which too have been painted and sculpted impeccably well. And overall, I just think this is a great piece to in fact actually add for those of you who are after a Revenge of the Fallen representation of Starscream as he appeared in the Bayverse that can in fact actually transform. I have without no doubt that this is by far the best offering out there. So with all that being said, this guy is currently available and in stock right now over at Showsy's store. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Is this a figure that you guys plan on adding to the collection, or are you more than happy with some of your previous Starscream purchases? I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.